Discover College Soccer is brought to you by Veo. Right now, you can save big on the Veo Cam 3. Upgrade your sports recording setup and save $400 on the Veo Cam 3 when you purchase a minimum 1-year subscription and a tripod. Don't miss out on this limited time offer that ends August 31st. Shop now and capture every moment with precision and clarity. Click on the link below to get your savings. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Coach Mo Pratt from Allegany College of Maryland. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Nice seeing your face. You reminded me the last time was a couple years ago at the coaches convention.
Indeed. Yep.
And you were at a different place then. Now you're at Allegany, and charging up both the men's and the women's programs for this fall, huh?
Yes, indeed. It's a little bit of a challenge. I found actually my last year at Potomac State, we did both the men's and women's. I was the head coach of each. It's a little bit of a physical and a mental challenge in season, but aside from that, it is functional. It's doable. So, I don't know.
Well, and I think probably when I talk to two-year college coaches, one of the biggest challenges overall is just recruiting, right? You got to recruit twice as much as everybody else because they're only there for 2 years.
Yep.
And you've had a specific challenge there at Allegany with the teams taking last year off. So how's
Right.
it been going? What was your focus over the last 12 months to really get, the teams recruited up, and how's that gone for you?
Well, the focus obviously from the start was numbers. Numbers alone. We needed enough women and men, for each team to get up and run and get going. I think the formula for small college and for 2-year small college is to really do well in your region, in your local area, in your region, and get as much of the top soccer players out of that area that you can, and add to that from outside, out of state, and even some international players. We've been really successful. It's anybody that's done, that has recruited men's and women's, any sport in college will tell you it's two different animals, recruiting men and women, based on supply and demand. Female soccer players are in high demand, and they are in the college world, and they're a little less on the supply side. So we've done really well on both sides. I think we've gotten some really nice talent locally and from within the immediate region. Where I've struggled a little bit on the women's side, at least for this season, is bringing in some of those out of state players. I think that'll come with experience once we sort of are a known commodity, so to speak. But we've done pretty good with that on the men's side. Numbers wise, I think we're at a comfortable spot with both teams. Definitely with the men's team, and on the women's side, I'm comfortable with where we're at now. We're in the low to mid teens. Would like to bolster that a little bit, but through experience, I know that we can get through a season with that, and I think successfully.
So what would you say is a target roster size for you, given your druthers? What would you like the roster to be at for both teams?
So I end up with two measurements there every time I have this conversation. I think 17, 18 is the perfect number for management purposes, managing your way through the season, managing your personnel, developing, of course, in the junior college world. One of our biggest responsibilities, I believe, is to continue development. I mean, that's anywhere, that you're coaching on the collegiate level. Obviously, if you want to win, you have to develop your players. But a lot of athletes are using the junior college model as a leaping point, a spring to onto a good 4-year program. So we have to keep an eye on the development side. So I think if you're in that 17, 18 range, you can develop the athletes really well. Everyone's getting ample playing time. You're keeping everyone happy. Good for probably a little better for chemistry, team atmosphere. The other side of that is, I believe, if you're in the 22 to 24 range, of course, that opens up some other things that you can do from a training perspective and as far, obviously you can, scrimmage and so forth. One note with that, back to the, it's, if you're at a 4-year institution, maybe, and you have 20, 24, 26 athletes on your roster, maybe a little easier to keep some of the players that aren't getting as much playing time happier, because you can sell sophomore season, junior season, senior season.
Yeah.
We don't have that luxury here. They're a little antsy if they're freshmen and they're not playing, because the end is near already, and they want to make a name for themselves and move on to a 4-year school. So there's a little added pressure there. So
Yeah.
so again, I guess I've never been able to answer that question with one number. It's always sort of two ways to look at it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, in terms of recruiting for teams that didn't have a team last year per se, so how has your mix? Were you trying to find a mix of freshman, sophomore, or was it pretty much all freshmen, or how did that look?
Fortunately, on both sides. So I'll start with the women first. We'll address it that way. I was a little luckier on the women in that, as far as our institution, there were some students here, some ladies that showed up for, in hopes of a team being started for the fall of 23. And, they stayed on. There were just happened to be a couple other young women here that I knew of from the region I knew that they were soccer athletes and pretty nice quality athletes. So there were some people that I could pull in that were already here at the college. That's worked out really well for us. And so that's really a good balance of they're all first year soccer players, but some of them about half of them are second year students. And we have a lot of allied health programs, nursing, dental hygiene, physical therapy assistants, some other programs here that are essentially, while we're a junior college, they turn and, we only offer associate's degrees, but we have a lot of students that are in those programs essentially turn out to be 3-year programs. So they may even be a 3rd-year student here, but they'll still be a first-year participant. So that's worked out about 50-50 as far as incoming brand new traditional freshmen and returning students. On the men's side, we weren't quite as lucky with returning athletes. There were some guys here this school year that were here for soccer. We didn't get to play in the fall of 23, but all of those guys have graduated, and some of them have left. They were in career-oriented programs, and they've already have jobs, starting their careers. They're moving on. So I lost them. Most of the athletes that are coming in for the men's team are true freshmen. I do have a few transfers they'll be 2nd-year participants, but they played at 4-year schools last year. So.
Okay. Well, when it comes to recruiting, what is it that you're looking for in a player, both on the field stuff and off the field attribute wise?
Really, I believe that I sort of go for character first. I really do. And it's the first question that once I've sort of turned on to an athlete, a new recruit, whether that's the athlete themselves reaching out to us, or if that's, through a coach or a recruiting agency of some sort, I always try to go there first and sort of try to figure out a little bit of, is this soccer player a good student? Because, that's, I think, huge. If they're taking care of the things on the academic side, they're responsible for that. That goes a long way into being able to focus on managing the whole team and again, being able to focus on soccer a little bit. And really just the quality of the character. Are they going to be good teammates? Are they going to be good contributors to our program and to our campus environment? So again, if they're doing that, I think it makes the soccer side so easy. Then from there, really, we all want superstars. I want super hyper talented individuals also. But I look for that, but really, honestly, I will take someone who's willing to put in the work and to obviously is competent and a good soccer player. But sometimes if you're more willing to work and put in the grind and do all that, I think you may be little more valuable. I'll take that sometimes in lieu, or I'll take it all the time in lieu of, hyper talent, so.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the school. You've been there a year now. What drew you there? What are some of the awesome things you found in your first 12 months there at school?
Yeah. So, and there was a lot to learn. First off, I have a really good, I'm an alumnus of Allegheny College actually, and played soccer here, decades ago. We'll word it like that because it was quite some time ago. And it is, I grew up in Allegheny County, here in Western Maryland. And I've lived, almost my entire life here, aside from a few months here or there. But at any rate, so I'm familiar with the institution. It was a little bit of a coming home. So more than happy to do that. At this stage of my life, I'm happy to be coaching and happy to be able to at least make that part of my career. I have other, other duties as assigned here. I have a couple other job titles, but that's good. I can make my career here. It's close to home. It's close to where I grew up. I'm familiar here. Um, some of the things I knew a little bit of this just from being, I've been knowledgeable about the institution just because I've lived close to it and kept track the whole time I've been here. But some of the things I think that really drew me in is we are, academically, the programs are really strong here. I think all community colleges nationwide, you can easily say that we've done a good job of shrugging or, getting rid of the, I don't know how I want to say it. There's always been the feeling that community college and junior college was a compromised education, or I don't believe that to exist really anywhere now, and it definitely doesn't exist here at Allegheny. I think this is high quality education, a lot of career based programs. People are leaving here after 2 years with an associate's degree, and they're entering very nice and frankly lucrative careers. So that's good. The value that the education here is wonderful. We are through the lot of hard work, over the course of decades by some really good people. Allegheny College is really fiscally healthy. And we all know that doesn't exist everywhere in higher education. So that's good. It creates a wonderful environment here on campus, from a member of the workforce, and the positive effect that has on the student experience is, we could talk about that all day long, and and never, categorize the whole thing. It's just a wonderful spot right now. So excited about that. Another note is there's, of course I look at everything through soccer lenses, but athletics in general, there's just been a very rich and a very successful athletics tradition here, over the years. A lot of that revolves around men's basketball and baseball, but the fact of the matter is the athletic department in general is doing it. So, I'm sort of happy to be a part of that, and would really want to move these soccer programs into that same category.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
Well, let's fast forward to October. You're in your heart of that season, and you got both teams there. Kind of walk me through what you envision a week will look like for players in terms of classes, practice times, game cadence, that kind of thing.
Yeah, sure. We'll try to set the schedule. Well, I guess we'll try to set the schedule up, the game schedule at 2 games per week. Every now and then, unfortunately, the JUCO season is pretty compact and from start to finish. So every now and then you end up having to play a 3-game week. I prefer not to do that, but it's really the nature of college soccer in general, definitely NJCAA soccer. So there's so load management during the season is real. I feel like my experience coaching in NJCAA is that seems like we're recovering as much as we're always at recovery practices, as far as as much as prepping for the next game. But in general, we are pretty much 6 days a week throughout the year. You're looking at 2 hours of training every day. We do like to stay with in-season, weight training. Just think that's too valuable for on the load management side, and for to avoid injury and so forth. So the day in the life of a student, you're going to classes. Hopefully we can get most of the classes scheduled in the morning early. It frees up the afternoons. Doesn't always work at small colleges. You have those labs and some other things that are in the afternoon. So sometimes the compromise has to be made there. You got to education first, get that taken care of. That means you're a little late for training that day. That's just the way it is. And then, in Region 20 here, we're, most of our games are within a 3-hour drive we're on the western end of that. So a lot of our opponents are in the Baltimore, DC metro area and a little further east of that. So, that'll put us out at about a 2.5-hour drive. So, travel days, they're not bad. They're, we can leave in the middle of the day, usually around lunchtime, and we're back before midnight usually. So, and then right back at it. So it's a little roundabout way, but yeah, we're, if we get our 2 games in the week and, 3 or 4 trainings, that's about where we're at. So.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the teams themselves a little bit. Have you been able to build out a roster of staff that'll help with each team? What's that look like?
Very good. So I do have some staff. I actually am still looking, and I know that I realize that's a little late in the game, but I would like to add that. I have a dedicated assistant for each team. One in particular, a man that I've literally known since I was a teenager. So really good rapport there. Happy to be working with him. I'm happy for what he brings to the table, really more in as much as soccer, but life in general. So I think he'll really good influence on the athletes. I know he will be. And another assistant coach that I'm happy to get to start working with and to learn a little bit. But I would like to build that out a little bit. With luck, I believe I'm bringing in a goalkeeper coach that'll be a little more goalkeeper specific and can actually work with both teams. So that's where we're at. It's always a little bit of, we're all again, this is a small college world thing, especially when you get into the assistants. We're very close to being volunteers, as far as the, what it pays. So it's a challenge sometimes and we're in a little bit of a smaller, populated area. I think here in Allegany County, I believe we're less than 70,000 residents countywide, so, and the whole region is that way. So, you just, it takes a little while to find the right people and put them in there, so.
Yeah, for sure. Well, what about you? How would you describe your coaching style of play you're looking to implement there with the players?
My style of play, I like to, I possession based. Probably that comes out of the mouth of, 90% of the soccer coaches in the world. But I covet possession. I like to, persuade our teams to play that way. I do like to play high pressure and to force the pace of play, especially in the opponent's defensive third and in the midfield area. From there, I like a really redundant defensive system. I like everybody to sort of, angle centrally and, drop deeper than the ball and, let's, support your team and support your teammates and, high pressure on the ball. I don't like the opponents with additional time on the ball without pressure, so. Yeah. And, as far as, coaching style, I do believe that I'm, I guess I mellow with age a little bit, but I tend to think that I'm a little more, certainly I'm mellow, but compared to the Mo Pratt of 30 or 20 years ago, 25 years ago, but without a doubt, I'm certainly more understanding and I just sort of like to give the athlete the tools to have to come to the conclusion that I have drawn. And, I really like, it speaks a little bit to the athletes that I like, that I usually find that I enjoy most. I like athletes who like to understand. It's one thing to do what the coach is asking you to do and to I like when they really want to know why. Why are we doing this? What is the rationale behind this? You want it, fine. Please explain to me why. Because I like that. Because I think with that understanding, I think it makes for a better, well-rounded athlete, and I think it creates, from a team perspective, just a better product on the field when everybody understands what we're doing, why we're doing it. So I guess I like to focus on the cognitive side of it as much as I do the physical.
No, I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Coach, really appreciate your time. I'm going to leave you with one last question.
Okay.
And, as someone who's been around the college game for a while,
Yeah.
if there was one piece of advice you could offer to folks going through this recruiting process, what would that be?
Yeah. Recruit yourself. Do your homework. Uh, find yourself some target schools, and then you've got to be your number one advocate. Even in my world, and probably I think if you took anybody in the small colleges, whether that's four-year small colleges or JUCOs, you know, even for us, we have to have, you can't, it's hard to keep track. Sometimes we may have 100. I'm sure there are programs with a couple hundred potential athletes, recruits in the hopper, and it's just hard to keep track of everything. It's hard to keep on it. And I find that the athletes that are advocating for themselves are the easiest for me to recruit, and you build that rapport with the coaches and the coaching staff as you go through that, and I think you'll get better return on your investment if you're out there advocating for yourself. So
Yeah,
um,
absolutely. Couldn't agree
yeah,
more. Well, Coach, really appreciate the time. Wish you the best of luck here in the
yeah,
fall and your first two seasons, men's and women's, under your cap
yeah,
for the alma mater. So good luck
yeah.
and thanks again.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Matt.